everybody. It's Gary-Dobbs here with the co-host Thaddeus Archibald, and we're bringing to you TREP show number 37. Glad to have you all here. We're going to do it a bit different tonight. We're going to change it up. Tonight's show is called TREP Discussions, and we're just going to talk about what's going on for each of us in our world in entrepreneurship and kind of what any trending topics or news that we've been seeing going on out there. So thanks, Glenn, for everybody's joining us, and look forward to kind of getting your guys' feedback on the show. You can reach out to us on social media. You know where those handles are, the TREP Talk Facebook group, and you can also reach either of us on Instagram. You can reach me at gary-dobbs.com. Thaddeus, where else can they reach you?
They can reach me at CODIAQ. That's me. And then you can also reach me at www.hueb, as in boy, le.com.
That's right. And you put out some hot tracks on that one, too, though. So if any of you guys into the music business, music world, check out that second handle.
Yeah.
You're always putting out new tracks, even while they're in studio production, right?
Yep, exactly, man. Got to give it to them fresh.
Yeah. Well, you know, speaking of trips, you know, you were just talking a bit about going viral, and there were some techniques you had learned about getting viral activity, and you were kind of talk about that, about your recent experience with that.
Well, you know, I've been doing some tests as far as the internet lately, and I've been trying to really figure out how can I reach people on natural searches. So, what people are naturally looking for on the internet, and how can I get up there in the top 3 or top 7 first page ranking? Because I think when I look back that when I use the internet, unless I'm looking for something really, really super duper specific, I am not going to click to the next page. I normally find what I'm looking for on the top rank. So Google or Yandex or Bing or Yahoo, whatever browser that you use, search engine that you use, they're pretty good at understanding that. So if you can't get on that first page, then you're done for. So I started learning long tail keywords and got a hold of some free software out there. It's my free software, so I'm not going to give away any of my secrets right now, because I got to just figure out how to do it really well, and then I can really explain what it is. But
right.
So I've been doing
that. But
the
testing's going good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I went viral on Imager, using some of the techniques that the software that is available on the internet that anybody can research if they look for it. And basically, in 2 hours, I went from having like an Imager account that had, 3 points or something like that, to having 50,000 comments in 2 hours. Of course, what I posted was basically not saying that I was trolling, but I was definitely understanding the current events and really standing on the middle.
Yeah.
In a way where
that's big, man. That's a lot of engagement. That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It was so
in a short
many
2 hour period.
It was so many that there was no way that I could reach everybody. So I just know what it's like what you were talking about before, like when you gotta have like some kind of something. You have to have a team, but you still gotta have human eyes, because the machine is gonna miss certain things. I mean, just before I got on the phone with you, I was talking with AT&T, and you know I have the robot that answers, and he can answer, like, he says, "You can speak to me in full-length sentences, blah, blah, blah." And he was making, like, he was doing that, making that sound like it was really talking, like it was really on a computer or something, just to give you some kind of, I was like, this is just real weird. And at first, I was like, I'm gonna speak to you like normal human being. You know what I'm saying? And it was just not catching it. And then it went like this a little bit.
Yeah.
And it said, "Oh, I'll wait then," because I said, "Please hold up. I'm trying to find my account number." I was like, "Oh, it finally got it," but I had to say it like 7 or 8 times, so it's not that good yet. And I think I don't have no crazy accent. But anyways, get back to the point. I did figure it out, and right now, my knowledge on going viral is limited to current events and borderline trolling. I gotta learn how to do it in a way where it's current business aspirations. People are already looking for it in a clever way, you know.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, because, well, I think it's a cool experiment that you're doing because, it's what I've noticed when I've seen when it comes to marketing and when it comes to what other people can publish. Like, I was just reading some rules on Facebook about their ad program, and they have some pretty strict community guidelines about things you can say on Facebook, especially for advertisers, because they're advertising to people. So there's lots of restrictions. And when people restrict it, when people break those rules or restrictions, Facebook actually shuts it down for advertisers. So there's some certain features right now that Facebook had shut down just because a handful of people abused it.
Yeah.
But it got me to wondering. It's like, but it's those kind of posts which people say that they don't necessarily want to hear or talk about, but then you find them all talking about it, right?
Yep.
Like they can't not say anything. Like
Yep.
they have to actually respond.
Exactly. And I felt like
to that sort of post.
And I could use like a really lewd like definition, but just imagine if you just I'm not going to go there, but I could really do that. Like maybe off air I'll tell you what I was going to say. I'm not going to say it now. But just imagine like you get inside of there and you just like I don't know, you see something very offensive and the person is just doing it all cavalier and nonchalant. And you're not going to sit there and let the guy just continue doing that or the girl continue doing that. You're going to say something to them. And I figured out how to be in somebody's face online and demand that attention. And I was like, whoa. That's what I said. I said, whoa, This is a real thing. Because people are actually like, they're getting heated. Sorry, I had muted my mic by accident.
Yeah.
I said they're getting heated. Yeah. I was like, wow. And then, of course, I was still like staying on that line of like, well, I see what you're saying, but I'm going to go ahead and say this part right here to trivialize the point that you're making.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's like, and it got me thinking about like how there's a lot of sales people that market themselves quite a bit, and if they're more salespeople, like they'll pronounce a lot of things that they do. Like their view on the world is the way you got to do it. Like they try to almost justify everything they do, right? So like, for example, some sales trainers that will post, they'll say, hey, money does buy happiness. You do need to focus on sales. This stuff is most important. You can have your best life if you act like this. But I was just watching something on Google the other day because there's certain subscriptions I have, and Google funded this project on the Galapagos. And the Galapagos, which I learned, is it's the one spot around the world with the most biodiversity. So there's a lot of like rare species of animals that don't live anywhere else that live in the Galapagos, right? And I'm watching it, and it's these like videos of these people. They're using Google's mapping technology to try to record and map the entire islands and the terrain and everything. And and as far as with the animals. I'm looking at it going, well, a lot of what those people are doing is really important stuff. I mean, money, getting rich off what they're doing is just not a factor, right? They're most likely not going to become rich off of what they do because it's research. They're mostly always looking for funding or money to pay for what they do because they're not doing an income-producing activity, right? It's just research and preservation and things like that. So they're not necessarily doing anything that's generating money. But that stuff's important. And when I was watching it and seeing those people and looking at it, thinking, you know what? But you couldn't convince those people to do anything else, right?
You couldn't.
Like they just don't care. They're not going to get it. They're not going to be convinced by some person that's saying, you know, you need to provide this. You need to make such much money. You have the duty and obligation to do this stuff. You have a much more potential. You just couldn't persuade someone like that. And it's like someone that's like an artist, right? If they just truly are passionate about something that they do, there isn't anything that you can do to change their mind on what they do. And I feel like that passion part is pretty important because that's what I feel like a lot of these entrepreneurs. So since we're talking about business and our focus is on not only business owners, but the TREPs that are out there actually really passionate about changing the world, and they just don't want to do things conventionally, right? Like they just don't want to start, if they're in marketing, they just don't want to start another business marketing for companies and doing things traditional. They want to create new ways to do it, right? They kind of want to reinvent things. And I mean, and those are the people we try to talk to and speak to and stuff. And we know they're not speaking to everybody, but at least if we deliver it in a way that gets people motivated and passionate about what they're doing, like it could be general enough to where it can be applicable to other industries, like those researchers working in the Galapagos, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe that was an idea they just had never explored, and they thought, well, wait a minute, why wouldn't we leverage a company like Google that's got money's not a problem for them, and they've got this mapping technology that they use for roads. Why couldn't we do that for these islands? It would help them out tremendously, right? Because the technology is probably way better than what they have access to. And they were able to partner up. Them and a few other organizations partnered up to carry out this project. So, I mean, that's some entrepreneurial activities in and of itself. I wouldn't count those people out. I would still call them TREPs because they are providing something that's beneficial, that people want and a lot of people are desiring. So I feel like there's lots of different ways to look at it, you know, for who a TREP is and what they're doing out there. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves. Like, there's just not every single activity or every company on everything they do is an income generating activity, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are other important things to do. To me, in a company, R&D is really important. I find research and development really, really key for a company to stay in the long term. So you're not doing anything to generate income now, but you're trying to secure your spot and become,
you know what?
Still be seen as the world leader years down the road.
That's such a great point that you make. R&D, man, research and development. Because a lot of times, and you said something very key that I think entrepreneurs and just people need to really understand. Like, when there's people out there who are focused on the bigger picture, and there's people around you trying to explain to you reality, saying, well, you have to do this and you have to do that. So they're trying to explain to you what reality is really like right now, but they're not seeing the reality that you are trying to shape and that you are trying to perform. Then you have to really understand, like, that process, that lull that appears to be a lull, is you sharpening that knife so that when you go for the jugular, when it comes down for that opportunity, you can get it and you can definitely get the kill. And I'm not trying to say it like in, this way, but I feel like it's a hunt. Really, a true entrepreneur is hunting for that one opportunity where they can just really slam their agenda or all the effort that they put together to get to where they're at, and they go for it, and once you get it, and once you know that you got it, because I realize when you start making money from doing what you like, from doing what you just imagine to do, and you're making money off of it, it's the most surreal experience ever. Anybody who wakes up and does exactly what they dream to do, they love to do, not what they have to do to survive. I'm talking about those who do what they love to do. Those are some of the most inspirational people to be around. And even if it's some simple job like, shoveling crap for a living. But if that's what you love to do and that's what you wake up for and you're happy about that, those people right there are the ones that I want to be and have around my circle, because they figured out what direction they wanted to be in and they stepped in it. And sometimes you will have that lull. You will have that time. You will have people around you telling you, well, what about this and what about that? And if you're weak and you're not strong in your belief and you're not really an entrepreneur, that's going to get to you. And it's going to slow you down and it's going to take you off the mark. It's going to take you out of your stride. So I just want all those entrepreneurs out there and all those trips out there who's facing that reality of like, man, I might need to go and do this right here because of this right here. You got to hold in there. You got to hang in there, because when you're at that point where you're just breaking even, you're not losing, then you got to keep pushing because you're doing something right. So I just want to give some, help those people out there to say something. I hope if you're listening and you hear that and you're just in that situation right now, just know, like, it is a rough road. It's not easy, and that's what you got to do. Keep focusing.
Got to keep at it.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably like for those trips too. It's probably a constant search, right, for like something to like there's something else out there that they haven't discovered yet. Even if they're in a company that's really, really profitable, doing very well. I think for some trips, that's their personality to just constantly think, oh, wait a minute, well, where else, because they know it could all come crashing down, right, unexpectedly. So I think a lot of the smart trips understand that the markets can change and shift. So if you're not constantly redefining your company and who you guys are to stay relevant in the marketplace, it's key, really important. Because we all want to get to that level where, you become really good at something, right? But I think it's important to be able to reinvent it and redesign it too. So that's why I've found a key for me in what I do for companies is it's giving them a process, right? Like show them how really valuable it is to be defining processes inside your company, and show them how to define a process, how to just go from principle of it, and how to go from the concept, be able to clarify the principles, and then actually be able to take the idea and get some results out of it, create something that they can use, and then teach the people inside their company how to do that too. Mm-hmm. Because like what I deal with when I work with companies in sales and marketing, now one of the things that's happening for a lot of companies is they're getting what's called technology overwhelm, and there's so many different softwares out there, and it's almost like candy in a store. So they can always be finding new softwares that seem really cool and use, and they can get some results out of it. And then, when they sit and look, they look at their desk. If they could actually see it, you might find that they've got like 50 different softwares. Like maybe the sales and marketing teams have like over 100 softwares that their teams are actually using, right? Mm-hmm. Then you start getting to other problems. When you got that much technology, it becomes overwhelming, and it's got to be organized.
Yep.
So that's something that I've seen happen out there, and it's really easy to get turned on by some hot new product, claiming a bunch of success and status and what they can do for you. So it's easy to get taken by that.
Yeah, and that's annoying. And it's just like that overload. You got to have the benchmark. You got to have the standard. There has to be something that is beyond what you need, but you can grow into it with the functionality and the features. And that's what I like about some of these entry level, mid level, and then expert level, softwares they have out there. They do make it where you start to realize, I may need to get the mid level because I'm understanding this lower end basic entry level one of it, the cheapest version, so well that I want to get those other features. But then here's the cost that you understand, like, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have that much money. I can see the results. Like, so say for instance, I get the data, like the raw data. Whoa.
Yeah.
Somebody just called my phone. Sorry about that.
What happened over there?
You
get sidetracked?
No, I didn't get sidetracked. I was like, how did my phone just go off like that? So.
Oh.
And but basically what I was trying to say is
you were saying?
Now that sidetracked because they called me 2 times in a row. But what I was trying to say is the point that I'm trying to make in this situation is I really did get sidetracked. Because it's so annoying. Man.
I'm glad that you acknowledged it.
Well, the first time I didn't get sidetracked. It's the second time. The second time they called. Like, if you see that I declined the call, you got to realize that I declined the call for one of 2 reasons. I'm on the show.
Right.
And I can't just get off the phone. It really kind of knows. I wish I could just like rewind what we were just playing so I could just get back to the point that I was making. And now that I'm talking about it and like trying to get back together, I noticed the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make was the benchmark of software. Like, I like the fact that there's certain programs out there that have 3 levels. And I feel like that's the best way, and I feel like that's how it works for everybody. There's three levels. There's 3 levels that you got to go through and pay for and certain things like that. And once you do that, you'll be straight. You'll be good. And what do you think, man?
Yeah, when I look at softwares with companies I use, like for example, if I was looking at a software that's going to help with the support team, we're going to have benchmarks set inside the software to help the team work more efficiently and utilize the software to create better service, right? Get back to people quicker, help them get the information that they want. Because nobody likes to put out a request and be waiting, because then you feel like you're forgotten about, right? So the benchmarks are key, man, to really have something in there so that you say, okay, here's, if we're setting up some KPIs inside of our ticketing software on what metrics are important, then here's the benchmarks that we have. Like, here's the benchmarks that we must meet. So we're looking to overachieve these benchmarks. And it's clear, it's important to have those and have an understanding of it, because otherwise you're just going to get, it's like you're just going to get so busy doing one thing to the next, and you're going to become like a lost explorer, right? Like in business, some people can do it. They're going to be an explorer well and take their company in the right direction, but other people, they need a map, and they really need to have some like defined objectives to keep themselves on track, because the journey itself, without it, like it's just going to totally, it's going to ruin their search. Their company's not going to grow. They're not going to meet any objectives. They're going to just be taken over by the market. They're going to be taken away from what their vision of the company is and their mission. Just kind of giving them those guiding principles to keep running their company.
Yeah, man.
But
The
speaking of
guiding
like
principles, man.
not being lost and a company staying true to its mission, is like, how about like, Hugh Hefner? We learned that he died yesterday, right?
Yep.
There's a guy that had led the Playboy company since it was first founded in 1953 as Playboy magazine.
Wow.
So that's a long time, man. 60, going on 65 years, been 64 years now. The company has been going. It's not the same company it was before, but I think that's what makes companies like that big and relevant still. Like the Playboy brand is still a well-known brand, right? Everybody's still, the brand awareness is still there, even though it's not the same company it used to be.
Yep. It's changed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it used to be a thing when I was a little kid. When I was a little boy, I always wanted to see. And then I realized when I finally got one, I was like, it's hardly any like pictures here and there on there. I was like, you got to read stuff on here. I was kind of disappointed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I guess it was
racy. Yeah, and it was a lot more of that. I think that was probably, it's like that was the magnet to the Playboy brand, was about the naked girls. But when you get to it, you find the whole meaning of the company. It was a lot more. Mm-hmm. It was more about like the lifestyle of the Playboy person. So it's the lifestyle they led, and which was just much more than just pretty women, but it was also about the clothes they wore, their view on politics, right, and everything in between. And they had a lot of interesting things in that magazine. I think there was they had like presidents during their time in the magazine that were interviewed. They're called with the Playboy interview, and they were included in the magazine and they were quoted. I mean, it's a pretty big deal, I think, for back then. They challenged the status quo. They definitely broke it. That's the biggest thing about Hugh Hefner and the Playboy companies was his ability to challenge the status quo and actually pull it off. I admire him for that.
Yeah, he was an interesting guy. He was really interesting, and sad that he lost his life. And I didn't know he had any kids. He had some kids too. So
quite a few. Yeah. Yep. And when his daughter's first child was president of the company for a period too.
Wow.
She worked in the company after she graduated college and was, had a relevant degree, so she was good at her job, and she became president of Playboy.
I wonder if she was not even going to say.
Huh?
I was thinking she worked.
I don't think she ever was. I don't remember her being anything like Snapshot, a model. No, I don't think she ever was.
That would have been weird.
Yeah, probably definitely would have.
I mean, I saw some really new cool inventions out there, like the little.
Yeah.
I just feel like the direction that we're going with technology, we're moving really fast. We're moving lightning fast. And like, where do you think the TREP is going to be in the future, considering the landscape that we're in right now? Like this digital wave, like cars driving themselves, drones delivering pizza, computers can have like long form, like right now it's in the bot form, like having clever, just like there's like some like chat bot, whatever it is, there's chat bots that you can chat online with. They're not even real, but they're just bots, and they figured out how to come with, humanized answers. So it's kind of funny. I mean, I haven't used them, but I know they're out there because I work with some special needs adults, and I was looking for some speaking chat bots because, like, one of the people that I work with, they really believe that the Google Home and the Amazon Alexa or the Siri, they really have like this. I think they understand it's not a real person.
Yeah.
But they kind of believe that it's a real person.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So they try to have conversations, but it's limited. So I was wondering.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, because it's like easy to forget that you're talking to a robot, right?
Yeah.
Because of the I think it's because of the flow of the conversation. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah. But that's what I was talking about
good,
on the AT&T. It was like I was really testing it. I was like, "Oh, you think you're a human being? You think this machine is good enough now?" I'm gonna start talking to you like a real person, asking complex questions, and it was not able to do it until I simplified it down, like dumbed it down.
Oh, right. Because if you had just said something random, I think that would be another test too to see if it's if it has any cognition, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're having a conversation. If you just said something random, then is it going to acknowledge that, or is it just going to keep going? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when people do that, you just look at them like, "Do you have a brain?" You look at them like, "Are you even listening?" Because you didn't even acknowledge that I just said something that had nothing to do with the conversation. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people like that who don't have a brain. They are just like
No, I think that's the interesting thing I've learned a long time ago was I've learned it's like it's different because the way the human brain is we do have hard wiring. I do believe there's a lot of aspects like programming to us. So I've always looked at it like you can put your mind is like a CD, and you're the producer. You're the artist. You can put on there whatever you want.
Yep.
So you have to actually control your universe and control what you want there, because you do have your mind does have the ability to just react and do things without thinking. So I've always learned it's important. I spend the first 2 hours of my day what I call the golden hours, where I really invest in clearing my mind, focusing on motivational, inspirational, or educational materials, and just staying focused with that so that I can say, okay, now here's what I want to accomplish today, and I'm going to just focus on accomplishing this big one thing first so that I can build up the momentum to finish out my day, right?
Yep.
I think really focused people, they have routines. Athletes, business leaders, world leaders, even scientists, a person with a powerful role inside of a company or inside of an organization, like they are very clear about what their mission is, right? They don't get deterred with that. So they have routines, they have things they do to keep themselves on track, because they know, like, if you don't have that kind of a program or a routine, it's so easy to, 6 months, 60 days have gone by and nothing's changed. Because that's one thing that we don't get back is time. Yeah, is time. So it's pretty valuable commodity.
You don't get time, and if there was opportunity, you miss that opportunity because you don't get the time. And I'll say this right here. When you really think about it, you have to think about when you are an entrepreneur and you're investing your time in yourself and growing and developing a skill and developing a team or developing a process or a system. Make sure when you're doing your research and development, you understand your potential consumer, your potential customer, your potential lead, because we can bring up some things that are happening around the world or just in the United States right now, the whole big controversy that's happening right now. And people are not, and for me, I'm looking at it like this right here. I'm looking at it like it's a numbers game. Majority of people that do business with you see things this way. Why would you go against that? If what they are talking about, what the argument is about, doesn't affect anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying, well, it's annoying. I want the tops for the bottles to be blue instead of yellow. Like, you're making a big fuss when all it's gonna be the same exact thing, but one is gonna be blue and one is gonna be yellow. If my clientele likes the yellow, then I'm gonna just do with the yellow. I'm gonna do with the yellow because it's not hurting anybody. Now, when you try to put meaning behind the color of those tops and try to say, well, that represents this, no, you added that to it. You took away from that, and once you get your shot, I'm just trying to say this to people because you cannot get caught up. Like you were saying, you can't get caught up in this emotion and what the louder voice is. Because sometimes it is true. The loudest voice gets heard. But maybe it's a few people who are loud. And there's many people who are quiet. And when many people are quiet and you don't pay attention to them, you learn the hard way. And I'm just trying to tell everybody, remember that. Pay attention to your surroundings when you're an entrepreneur. Pay attention to those kind of things, because if you don't, and you listen to the loudest voice, the people who always comment on your posts, the people who always have something to say, but it's the same few people, and you say, well, these people like it, and all of a sudden you look at your engagement, your analytics, and you see like, man, I'm not getting anywhere, because there was a silent majority that was paying attention to what you were doing, and you went in the direction away. And sometimes people are going to be quiet, but they're going to still come to you. You know what I'm saying? Like me personally, I don't go shop at like super big supermarkets like Walmart and stuff like that. I try to go to the small mom and pop stores. I may pay a little bit more. I may pay a little bit more, but I try to help those guys out, because I just don't want to feed into the corporate system, because I do believe, I mean, like last week when we talked about that guy who made the minimum wage $70,000. I just believe if you're making billions of dollars, like, I don't know. But I still think that Walmart and Target, stuff like that, they're low wage jobs. So, like, they should not be paying them that much, because you shouldn't just want to live your whole life, stocking shelves and like barcoding IRCK, whatever those codes are, just doing that. Because I worked as I worked in the retail, but I was like the loss prevention. So I was like watching the cameras and like catching people stealing. So it was a little bit different from what I did. But I was inside of there, and I could just see everybody just hating every second of every day going there and dealing with a customer saying, but it said it was 99 cents or this right here, and just looking at that. So it was just crazy, man. And I just feel like we're just having like this discussion right now, and we're just talking about, hey, these are the things that are going on, and how do you focus your mind and gather your thoughts and pay attention to the meat of whatever it is that we're trying to do? What do you think you should do in those situations?
We should do it for what? For which part?
Like, I don't know. Me personally, I have my opinions about what's going on in the political landscape as of, September 29th, 2017. What's going on in America with a major controversy over something, right?
Oh.
So I have my own opinion. I don't think, I think a certain way, perhaps. Yeah. And I just look at it like I was trying to say. I was trying to be using these different kind of explanations, like the blue top and the yellow top.
Okay.
We you've been doing the yellow top. You've been using the yellow top all this time, right?
Okay.
But now you're trying to say, oh, this little difference about it, things outside the
Yeah.
yellow top, really has nothing to do with it. Like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but do you really have to use that to make your point? You have to, basically do it that way. And basically what I was trying to say is you have a huge base of people that support what you're doing. And you're just going to go with the loudest voice, a small percentage of them, and literally just crap on everybody else that's been on your team and been paying your money and been sewing into what you're doing. Do you think that's fair?
Well, I think people are allowed to come to different realizations. I don't think it's important for people to have truly have a mission, something you're connected to on what you're trying to work towards, so that you feel like your whole time here wasn't wasted, so that there was a cause, there's a mission you were either a part of or you were a founder of, that you helped create. That's usually what I find is most important, is that legacy.
Same here.
So for me, time's important, and the people I spend it with is important, because I don't want to spend and waste too much time with people that don't value the same things that I do and what I'm working on, because I just know it's just you end up gonna waste a bunch of time doing something that you don't want to do. You're not passionate about it. It's sucking the life out of you. And then later on, as you get reconnected and working towards something you want, you're gonna look back and you go, "Geez, man, look at all that time I could have been spending towards this. I could have been working towards this mission of mine and my vision, where I feel more connected with the people I'm working with and with what we're doing. Like it's actually going to make a big difference."
Yeah. I feel like today was a good talk. We just talked about some things and got, in a direction of our thoughts and where we're trying to go and what we're trying to do and how we're trying to focus. Like, sometimes you just need a relax and, like you said, have a golden hour or a golden moment where you're just really focused on what is it that you're trying to get? What is it that you're trying to reach in your life, in your pursuit of happiness, and in the things that you're trying to do? Because I think a lot of the times we get caught up in the nonsense. And I mean, what I really care about may sound callous, like what you were saying a long time ago when I was laughing, like, man, that's pretty harsh. If like a little 10-year-old kid, loses his father and he wants you to feel sorry for them, like, man, this is my sad story. It's like, hey, man, nobody else is going to care. And I feel like people are not really understanding that. Like people go through life somehow believing life is fair, because it's not. I'm not trying to say that it's a sad way to look at the end of everything, but no, hey, you're not gonna get everything that you want in life. Start from there and understand that. So if you don't get what you want, you don't feel like you're entitled to getting there. And I feel like that is the problem that we're having. Like, people really actually believe that they get what they want. And I laugh, and it's so funny to me. It is so hilarious to me, man. Like, I don't even know what to say. That's what I tell everybody who's all like, oh, I'm pro this, I'm pro that. I just like, bro, when do you ever get what you want? Every single detail of it. Never.
Yeah.
But that's the end of the show. Nice little, break, in between seasons. We're going to work on setting something up for you guys and getting y'all some really good information out there. So, yeah. TREP Show. We're out. Peace.